So, you have any final thoughts about Swimming, these two albums, or just this week as a whole?
Well, I had a takeaway last night when I was reading through some Mac Miller interviews, and I thought I would save it till next week because it obviously is the end of the Mac Miller month, but I feel like it's good now to say that he talked a lot in those interviews about, and he talked in some of these songs too about how he could have just worked a 9 to 5 and he would have probably been a lot happier because he talked a lot about the stress and the negatives of being famous and where it brought him, but at the same time he knew he couldn't. He
Mm-hmm.
knew he couldn't do that because he was meant to do this. And even though it brought him to this place, it's like he almost felt like he was worth it, even though he was constantly battling demons. Um, and that was something else he said. He knew that the demons made him a better artist,
Mm-hmm.
and as we can tell, I mean, the way he turned those demons into beautiful songs was, I mean, I really don't know anyone that's done it better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a sacrifice he made to the world where he would let himself get to a place where he was going to overdose on drugs at 26 years old, but as long as he put out this music, it was worth it. And last night I was thinking, like, we think all the time about what's the meaning of life, and that was something that the Mac Miller discussed a lot too, where he was trying to figure out what's the point.
Mm-hmm.
As we talked about last week with Macadelic, the question I think was the first we started to see that, where he's really starting to think deeper about life, and he's like, the question is like, what's the point? What are we doing here? And that was something over the next however many albums it was that he needed. That was what his point was, to figure this out and figure it out for himself, and do that through the music. And I was just thinking, from every single person's standpoint, from a human standpoint, like, everyone battles that question too. What's the meaning, and daily life, obviously, you get mixed up in it, and sometimes it can take you to like a different place. It's like sometimes you lose track of what matters and all that. And I was just thinking last night about how I felt listening to Mac Miller. And personally, for me, he makes me feel a way that no other artist does. Like, the way, just the places he can take you with, again, with So It Goes. It's a place that no one can take. Very few people can take you. I'm sure there's
Mm-hmm.
some artists that can take you there, but he does. He's just got something else. And I was just thinking, we have to find that. We have to find, how can we impact people in that way, in our own
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah.
That I think that's the point. How can
Mm-hmm.
we make someone sit up at night and be like, wow, like, just think about that,
Yeah.
it's we're not no one we're not all going to be famous artists, we're not all going to be famous anything, but even if it's just one person, like, what can you do with your special unique personality and skill set and all that? What can you do to make someone feel like that? Because that feeling that Matt gives me, and I know a lot of other people, is, again, indescribable. And I just think, like, if I can do that to one person, I feel like I would have lived a full life.
Yeah. It kind of takes me back to a J. Cole quote from, um, I forget what album. I think the song's Immortal, but he's like, to die a young legend, or live a long life unfulfilled. And that's kind of how I feel like, Mac has kind of finished his career and finished his life, a young legend rather than a long life unfulfilled. And so, damn, what a this has been one of the toughest ones to do, Hughes, if I'm being honest.